Good afternoon, everyone. I think we're ready to start. A very warm welcome to today's webinar on linking school meal nutrition standards with sustainable food procurement. My name is Vivienne Frank. I'm an expert in sustainable food systems at ICLE, a global city network, and coordinator of the School Food for Change project. Today's webinar is jointly hosted by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the World Food Programme, and the coordinators of School Food for Change. And we invite you to share your name, your organization, and where you are connecting from in the chat. Before we start, I would like to share a few housekeeping rules and basic information with you. This webinar will be recorded, and the recording will be posted in the School Food Global Hub. Please use the Q&A chat function to submit any questions you may have to our speakers. If possible, please also clearly state to whom you are directing the question. We have English and Spanish interpretation available. Please select your preferred language by clicking on the interpretation icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you encounter any technical problems, please leave a message in the chat, and our team will try to support you. Now we will start today's webinar with two presentations from the two hosting projects. After this, we will have a technical presentation on school meal nutrition standards and development objectives. And after that, we will move into a panel discussions, sharing experiences from different countries. Now, without further ado, I'm very happy to invite Mrs. Fatima Hashem to the stage, Senior Nutrition Officer and Team Leader of the Nutrition, Education and Consumer Awareness Group of FAO's Food and Nutrition Division, to give us an overview of the FAO WFP project, School Nutrition Standards for Safeguarding Children's Right to Food. Fatima, the floor is yours, and you have 4 minutes.
Thank you very much, Vivienne, and good afternoon, good morning to all of you. So I will be giving you a brief overview of what the school meal nutrition guidelines for safeguarding children and adolescents' right to food project is. Before I start, I want to explain a little bit about the background of this project. We assume that, of course, the school meals programs have many objectives, but we do assume always that the school meals programs are intended to improve nutrition of school children and perhaps the diet quality. We do hope that most of these programs are doing that. But in fact, when looking at the evidence available, we see that there is a little bit of disagreement on the nutrition outcomes of school meals programs between research teams, and part of this variation is really related to the composition of the school meals themselves. In 2018, FAO undertook a survey in 33 middle and low-income countries on their school meals programs. And one of the findings was that there isn't a clear guidance on how the school meals nutrition guidelines and standards are to be set. So there was a gap there, and this gap was one of the main underlying causes or elements for developing this project. We also know that when these exist, when robust school meals and nutrition guidelines exist, the impact of the school meals programs on nutrition and the quality of diet of children are definitely better. So with that knowledge, next slide, please. FAO and WFP put together a project to develop a global guidance to assist countries on how to set these guidelines and standards in order to maximize the impact of these school meals programs on children's nutrition and diet quality. The project is funded by the German Federal Ministry of Food and Agriculture. It started in 2020 and is to be ended in December 2025. It has a global element, but it also has elements of piloting at country level. And in this case, we are talking about piloting in Cambodia and Ghana. As you can see in front of you, the project has two mutually reinforcing outcomes. The first one was to improve children's and adolescents' diets through regular consumption of a nutritious school food and adoption of healthy promoting food practices. So the quality of the school meal itself and the school food, and also the practices. The other one that is reinforcing this outcome, and the first outcome is reinforcing it, is to enhance the legal recognition and civil awareness of adequate school meals and foods as a legal requirement to children's rights to food. And this is a very essential part, because we will see how integrating the right to food into policies, and how the standards, the nutrition guidelines and standards, when they become part of policies, legislations, this will help in the implementation and practice of the right to food for children. Next, please. So over the 5 years, we have been doing quite a lot of reflection meetings, country support, and country work to come up with this global methodology. And now we can present to you some of the features, or the essential features of this methodology, that we hope to be published in 2026. First of all, the nutrition guidelines and standards of school meals should be driven by evidence. In order for them to achieve their potential of improving the nutrition and diet quality of children, they need to be evidence-based. So what I do mean by that, what we are talking about is that these nutrition guidelines should be directly responding to the nutrition priorities of children in a specific context. They should take into account the home diet and the competing foods in the school environment. And there are parts of the other factors around the school meals that need to be integrated in the standards, about socializing, about a school mealtime experience, about the learning experience provided around the school meals. But also they should be feasible according to the school system, what the school system needs to be what the school system can offer and not offer. And they have to be vetted and validated by multiple stakeholders concerned with the school meal system and the school environment. They need also to have an implementation plan that should be reviewed regularly, and this can be only done through a realistic implementation plan and monitoring and evaluation. And then linkages to the policies is essential and very important. So this is a real entry point needs to be identified on how they link to the legal system and the policy environment. With this, next slide, please. This is the heart of the methodology, but the heart of the methodology needs to be accompanied with guidance that relate to different areas that are part of the whole school meal program system, and are important to realize the potential of the school meals programs. And among these, of course, is procurement, the topic of our webinar today, and Luana will be talking about it, but also action-oriented food and nutrition education to make the practices part and parcel of the psychological and emotional makeup of the children, and then they make them better citizens that are capable of making the best choices for themselves. Of course, this needs to be aligned with food environments, or food environments should be aligned with what the being practiced in the school meal, in the food education, and the policy enabling policy environment. These are the complementary guidance that accompany the methodology, and they will be also produced, some before the end of the year and some into 2026. Next, please. So with all that, we should say that we are testing in we have tested in Cambodia and Ghana, and the evidence was the assessments, the base for the nutrition guidelines in both countries was the assessments of children diets, the school food environment, the policy framework, and children's perceptions. So this allowed us to help the countries in setting up their evidence-based nutrition guidelines and standards. And we are testing now, we have tested in Cambodia, I should say, because we are analyzing the results, but the results will be published in 2026. And also we have achieved most of this work in Ghana, but have not reached the phase of testing yet. Next, please.
Fatima, we're running a bit out of time, so maybe
Sorry,
if you can
this is
come
my
to an
last
end.
slide. The methodology is also, the project is also hosting a food hub that can help you find more and more information about the school meals guidelines and standards in different countries and about other complementary activities. Thank you for your patience, and over to you, Vivian.
Thank you very much, Fatima, for this great presentation. And I would like to especially highlight the need for integrating evidence-based standards into food procurement. So thank you very much for giving us this overview. Now, for the sake of time, we will move on. It's now my pleasure to invite Mrs. Angel Tuss to the stage, Senior Expert in Sustainable Food Systems at ICLEI, and one of the team's members of the School Food for Change coordination team. Angel, the floor is yours, and you have also 4 minutes.
Thank you very much, Vivian. I'll try to keep it short. So just to introduce a little bit about the School Food for Change project, maybe if you can move to the next slide. Yes, thank you. So the School Food for Change project is an EU-funded project that started in 2022 and will come to an end in the coming months, with the central objective of transforming food systems by leveraging school meals in Europe and beyond. If you can move to the next slide. So this is an overview of the School Food for Change consortium. It's composed of 42 partners, including 16 cities and regions, which you can see in orange on the map, as well as 19 replication cities here in pink, dark pink. Actually, sorry, that's the opposite. Pink is the partners, and orange is the replication cities. My apologies. And you will see that there are also replication cities in Africa, in Senegal and Uganda, in Tasmania, as well as in Brazil on the right side. So quite a good geographic spread. Next slide. So the ambition and impact of School Food for Change is to reach 600,000 children and young people over 3,000 schools. And this impact has already been achieved in Europe, but also beyond, with all the schools that the project has been directly engaging. Next slide. So what is School Food for Change all about? If it had to be summarized in literally one slide, that would be the one. So School Food for Change is all about this triple approach. First, innovative public procurement, and I will come to that in the next slide, looking at a number of different criteria. Second, what we call the whole school food approach. So an integrated approach to food at school, including food education, but also engaging the community in and around the school, as well as creating a multi-stakeholder platform to discuss such topics in the school system. And the last pillar is to train and empower cooks to cook planetary health meals and to reduce food waste. But I want to dig a bit further on the procurement pillar, which we'll be discussing a bit more today on the next slide. So the approach that the project has taken to sustainable food procurement is twofold. On the left side, as you will see, the project has been developing a set of criteria for more sustainable public food procurement. And these include core criteria as well as advanced criteria that go beyond health and sustainability standards. And we're really proud to say that since 2022, more than 40 new tenders were released using these criteria as guidance. And as you will see on the right side, the project has also invested a lot in market dialogues. So basically consultations with potential suppliers before releasing the tenders. And these are very useful to avoid risks, for example, in putting too much weight on price versus quality, or also making sure that the tenders can be inclusive of SMEs and small farmers by adapting the requirements to their own constraints. And as part of the project, more than 16 market dialogue have been conducted, at least one in each city, but often more than one. Next slide. And so this is just an overview of some of the key figures now that we're reaching the end of the project. You will see at the bottom of the slide the 7 key topics that we've been focusing on when it came to criteria to add into the tenders. And as you will see at the top, there was a big increase in organic products, for example, in Spain, in Valencia, as well as in the Estonian cities. The numbers moved from almost 0% to 20%. And in Lyon, in France, from 50 to 75, so quite a significant increase in the amount of organic products. Same for the regional foods with 50 and up to 80% from short food supply chains, for example, in the case of Budapest. And then vegetarian meals, also usually 1 to 2 days fully vegetarian each week in a number of the pilot cities. Next slide. And actually, if you want to dig a bit further into these criteria that the project has been developing, as well as the market dialogue activity and how to run it in different cities, we really invite you to have a look at the School Food for Change website, and especially the resources webpage. Next slide. So that was it in a nutshell. I think I tried to keep it really short, but if you want to dig a bit further about on the project, please have a look at the website and feel free to contact the ICLE Europe team who has been coordinating the project over the past 4 years. Thank you very much, and back to you, Vivian.
Thank you very much, Angel. It's great to see the ambitious procurement targets from School Food for Change, and really great to see also what has been achieved over the past 4 years. At this point, I would like to move on and give the floor to Luana Swenson, Policy Specialist for Sustainable Public Procurement of FAO's Food and Nutrition Division. Luana, the floor is yours, and you have 12 minutes.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Vivian. I hope you can just see my screen and my slides. So now I would like to go with you a little bit deeper on the technical part and on our work on really linking school meals nutrition standards with sustainable school food procurement. So just to give us an overview and to give us that sure that we are all in the first and the same page, we can say that procurement refers to the process of identifying what is needed, determining who is the best person or organization is to supply this need, and ensuring that what is needed is delivered to the right place at the right time for the best value for money and in a transparent, fair, and open competition manner. So this is a very broad definition of public procurement. And we can say that the implementation of school food nutrition guidelines and standards depends on the procurement process, because it is through the procurement that the school food nutrition guidelines and standards are translated into actual food items and bulk quantities. It is through the procurement process that the suppliers are selected and the delivery of the food is ensured. So the procurement process is also very much important for integrating multiple development outcomes in my school food. So procurement plays an important role in integrating additional social, economic, and environmental development objectives to my school food program. Multiplying the benefits and the beneficiaries of the school feeding program, including as very clear for us, the school children and adolescents, but also including benefiting those who are going to produce the food, the community, and the environment a little bit more broadly. So the rationale that guides our work on that, and the relation between the school nutrition guideline standard and the procurement is that based on sound policy and appropriate regulatory framework, national, regional, local government and schools, that according to their own procurement system, they can determine what food to purchase following the school food nutrition guideline and standard, but also from whom I'm going to purchase this food, such as from the local smallholder farmers, the small and medium food enterprises, from vulnerable groups, women, youth groups, and also from what type of production practice, such as those that ensure environmental sustainability and biodiversity conservation. So depending on how these choices are made, public food procurement can influence both the consumption but also the food production patterns and provide an important entry point to shape food systems and to move supply chains in a more nutrition sensitive, inclusive, and sustainable direction. So this is very much aligned also with the School for Change project and for our project in collaboration with WFP. So, and we can say that school food procurement is included, embedded, and aligned with the broader sustainable public procurement agenda. No, indeed, the SDGs, it has a specific target, 12.7, which is to promote public procurement practices for food, but also to IT, constructions, though we are a part of it, that are sustainable, which includes environmental, economic, and social aspects in accordance with national policies and priority. And it's interesting to see, for instance, in a previous project that we had with UNEP, where we analyzed the policy and legal framework on sustainable procurement from 17, public procurement from 17 countries in Latin America, we saw that 14 out of 17 countries recognize in their public procurement law the pursuit of sustainability outcomes as a guiding principle. So it is all connected and supported, not by the SDGs and by increasingly by other national policy and legislations. So, and then we come here more specific to our project. So based on all this background, as mentioned by Fatima, the project, among its objectives and outcomes, we have we have produced a guidance manual for the operationalization of school meal nutrition guidelines and standards through the procurement. And the objective of this guidance is to really provide a step-by-step guidance to support the implementation of the school meals nutrition guidelines and standard through the procurement process, taking in consideration a sustainability perspective. And our target audience in this case was really the procurement personnel and certainly the technical policy advisor. But we really wanted, we acknowledge the importance of supporting and guiding those in charge of food procurement. And in fact, I'm very glad to mention that this guideline was co-authored by a procurement officer, by Bettina Madsen, from the chief procurement officer from Copenhagen, who really bring these perspectives and the importance to arrive to them. Because one thing that we heard a lot in this process, in the validation process, that we cannot assume that all the policies and the broader policies objectives will arrive to the procurement officer. So in this, work, we use the terminology procurement personnel to consider procurement officer, but also consider more broadly, like any person in charge of the procurement process, regardless of their function title. So the school director, the head of quality control in the kitchen, a lawyer. It depends from each country. It will change a lot. Who is the one now in charge of procuring the food? And it's important to acknowledge that these people, they may not be able to change the procurement rules for the implementation of the nutrition guideline standards. Not that, but they may be able to be informed and work within the different possibilities that its systems present to tailor the procurement process for the effective implementation of the nutrition guidelines and standards and of additional development objectives. So we came with this procurement manual that hopefully will be published this year, from the beginning of next year, that has, similar to the other manuals that are around the methodology of school food nutrition guidelines and standards, it is structured in 4 sessions. First, assess, so a guidance on key steps to be taken by the procurement personnel as part of comprehensive assessment before starting the school food procurement process. Second part on session on implement, so providing guidance on the actual implementation of the procurement process and on the use of available instruments to support the operationalization of the school meal nutrition guideline standards, along with an additional development object. Third part, monitor, focus on contract management and monitoring. And we have, although this very strong focus on the procurement personnel, on those in charge of really doing the work and procuring the food, on a little bit focused final consideration for policy making, creating the conditions for success. So here, a brief example of what we will find. For instance, it's very practical with kind of checklists. So we have like the methodologies, what the step-by-step guidance, and saying at the end, so at the end of the assessment phase, what me as procurement officer should know, like I should know the policy objectives I want to pursue, the legal instruments available, the human resource and infrastructure capacity, what the markets can provide. So it's very much in dialogue with the market, as also one important pillar of the School Food for Change, because we need to and also of our project, like FAO and WFP project, to know what the market provides and have this dialogue, this, and also in the planning phase regarding funds, budget, the kind of food, the quantity, frequency that's needed, and also more legal instrument, the possibility of splitting the contract into lots, the alternative procurement modalities, the key stakeholders to overview. So, and just to mention that this sits and is part of a broader FAO and ESN work on sustainable public procurement that we have been developing the last 10, 15 years with evidence, generating evidence, promoting support on the demand side, on the supply side, nutrition sensitive value chains, provide capacity building to farmers, but also work on the demand side and also policy and legal frameworks, such as very recent regional pathways we have been developing in Latin America for the implementation of sustainable public food procurement, engagement with partners. We are together with ICLE, the co-leads of an interest group on sustainable public food procurement within the One Planet network. So a very broad, holistic approach to this topic. So just to finish, I see that I have my last 1 minute. I think we might say that procurement plays a key role in the implementation of nutritional guidelines standards, and also it's an important instrument to incorporate broader development objectives to school food. The important role also of the procurement officers to those who are in charge of in building this kind of guidelines and capacity buildings and looking these actors also as an important actor in these programs. And to say that about our forthcoming procurement manual, that we really hope that is going to be a useful tool in this process. So thank you very much, and I stop sharing here. Thank you, Vivian.
Thank you very much, Luana. Thank you for highlighting the importance of the procurement officers. And also, yeah, I really look forward to reading the guidance manual. So looking forward to that as well. We have time for 2 questions from the chat. First question is, what are the main risks if public procurement staff do not participate in the process of developing school meal nutrition standards? Can you give concrete examples?
Okay, Thank you for your question. I can say that in the survey mentioned by Fatima, where they were looking for the development of school meals nutrition guideline and standard, one data that came to my mind when I was reading it, that most of time procurement officers or procurement authorities are not involved in this process. So a lot of time they are seen as someone outside the school feeding program, the school feeding policies. So, and I think what happens is that then we can come with a lot of problems for implementation, because you can have we have examples, for instance, in Ecuador, where we have a very nice policy on school feeding more broadly, not only school meal nutrition guidelines as a standard, that we're trying to look to buy locally, the local products, respecting the local culture. But it didn't consider that in the country we have a centralized procurement systems. So how you can procure locally from smallholder farm in a centralized system, and so go up and then, so this is the kind of things that it's very important, I think, since the beginning, to have these people involved because I think this is how you ensure that you construct something that is going to be implemented and fully reach its objectives. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, very much understood that it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Second question, in the African context where challenges such as corruption in procurement processes may exist, how can the public school food procurement system be strengthened to improve food access for vulnerable populations?
Thank you. Of course, I don't have a precise answer, not all. I think this is a risk in any kind of public procurement. That's why also public procurement is very much regulated. No, like very much. You have a lot. You can say bureaucracy, but it's not like very specific rules to try to ensure as much as possible transparency, equal access. So all this work, what we can do is all this work is done in respect of these rules and contributing to these rules to ensure that we can use the procurement strategically, to pursue broader socio-economic and environmental outcomes. In addition that to its functions, of giving the food to the children, but following and within the public procurement systems that as much as possible will try to avoid corruption, misuse of public money. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, very much indeed. Now it's time to move to the panel discussion, but once again, Luana, thanks so much, and really looking forward to the forthcoming publications. I would like now to invite our panelists of the day. We have 3 panelists, and it's my pleasure to welcome first Mr. Matthias Mikli, Chief Specialist at Tallinn Educational Department in Estonia. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Second, I'm also inviting Deus Kayingamba, Program Policy Officer in Procurement at the World Food Program in Rwanda. And I'm also welcoming Mrs. Heidi Valencia Torres, contractor at the National Food Procurement Agency in Colombia. Welcome to the virtual stage. We have now 2 questions for our 3 panelists, and we start with Mr. Mikli. Mr. Mikli, can you tell us what are 2 major challenges you have faced in aligning school for food procurement processes with nutrition standards while also meeting other food procurement goals in Estonia?
Thank you. Firstly, I will fastly explain the specific of food procurement for Tallinn schools. There are actually approximately 60 schools managed by City of Tallinn, for which Tallinn Education Department organizes catering procurement for all of the schools. In these schools, we didn't hire cooks directly, nor we didn't procure food. Instead, we organized comprehensive catering service through the separate procurement process for each school. And the main task for these catering companies include hiring cooks, preparing menus months in advance, complying with technical specification and legislation, purchasing food and preparing meals and drinks, and keeping canteen clean and tidy. During the procurement, spider must, in addition for everything else, submit that confirmation that their beets meet all applicable nutrition standards. Challenges are typically identified during contract execution, not during the procurement process. We conduct annual audits to ensure compliance with the contractual and legislative requirements. The auditor verifies service compliance. If any errors are found during the audits, we give the bidder a reasonable deadline to correct them. And in serious violations, it may lead to contractual penalties, or we may terminate the contract at all. Second challenge is constant communication work with the school, students, and parents of students. This is especially usual when the situation when the law changed. For example, in 1st September this year, the law changed, and for example, sugar content levels are reduced, and our second example, the weekly fish meal is mandatory now, but usually students doesn't like a fish. And there is lots of communication work for everyone, because usually they complain lots, and usually, especially parents of a student, they doesn't understand why things change this way. So our job is to communicate with them and make things well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matthias. Yeah, thanks for highlighting the importance of monitoring in addition to setting up a good contract, and also the importance of communicating with pupils and parents. Now, moving on to Mr. Kain Gamba, also for you, what are two major challenges that you have faced in aligning your procurement with nutrition standards while you're also trying to meet other procurement goals? You have 4 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. For context purposes, Rwanda has a school feeding program, national school feeding program that has a complete countrywide coverage. We now give food to over 4.7 million kids, both in pre-primary, primary, and secondary school. In Rwanda, the procurement model we are using currently is the centralized system. Basically, the government has hired one company to take on all procurement processes. What the company does is that it buys food commodities from smallholder farmers or cooperatives mainly, transports the food commodities to the districts, and then the district does the distribution to the schools within a specific district. So going to the challenges, one of the biggest challenges we have today here in aligning procurement to nutrition standards is affordability of the food commodities vis-a-vis nutrition standards. Though the government here is trying to increase the school feeding budget, but the prices are still quite high. So the budget is eaten into by the high prices, hence affecting the nutritional standards. So the problem is balancing affordability and nutritional standards. That's challenge number one. Challenge number two is integrating local farmers into the school feeding procurement chain. As per the Rwanda food procurement guidelines, all food commodities are supposed to be procured from smallholder farmers and cooperatives within the locality where the school is situated. Now, that's the principle, but the practice is of course a little bit different, because one, most cooperatives and smallholder farmers have challenges in terms of increasing their production capacity, but also issues with food safety and quality. So you find that the amount of commodities that they produce is not enough to feed the schools within a specific district. And even where the production is a little bit higher, there are issues with food safety and quality. And that means that the nutritional levels are certainly impacted. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, very interesting to hear about the challenges with demand and supply and also food safety. Now moving on to Heidi Valencia. You were just on the stage. I see you still with us on the top. What are for you the main challenges that you are facing when aligning food procurement processes with nutrition standards while trying to meet your food procurement goals?
Thank you. I'm going to speak in Spanish. Quisiera abordar la pregunta desde el final para comentarles que, bueno, nuestro Plan Nacional de Desarrollo tiene como objetivo de la contratación pública democratizar la compra pública y vincular a todos los actores del sistema con un énfasis en los actores de la economía popular, los pequeños productores locales agropecuarios y los productores de la agricultura campesina, familiar, étnica y comunitaria, a quienes que puedan participar en todos los mercados de compra pública de alimentos. Entonces, este marco normativo pone, digamos, en la mesa que la intención de Colombia es vincular a todos los actores. Pero entonces, cuando intentamos aplicar la normativa, nos encontramos con dos desafíos. Uno, las fichas técnicas que se elaboran para los alimentos y el segundo, que no se adecua a la alimentaria de la región. Entonces, si bien todos los programas de compra y contratación pública requieren fichas, porque son las herramientas para trazar las condiciones de calidad e inocuidad de los alimentos, ¿cierto? Pues que además son emitidas por el Ministerio de Salud, por el ICONTEC y son adaptadas por cada entidad en función de sus necesidades, ¿cierto? Encontramos que muchas de esas fichas técnicas contemplan requisitos higiénicos sanitarios que limitan la participación de los actores locales. Entonces estamos hablando de fichas técnicas con requerimientos que se alejan de la realidad de nuestros territorios y con condicionamientos que, si bien buscan garantizar la calidad e inocuidad, también buscan como facilitar o agilizar los procesos operativos de la entidad, lo que genera que muy pocos proveedores puedan de manera efectiva acceder a cumplir con estas fichas técnicas y por tanto ser proveedores de alimentos dentro de estos sistemas de compra pública de alimentos. Entonces vamos a encontrar la intermediación porque estos grandes proveedores se convierten en intermediarios de los pequeños productores. Entonces vemos como un desafío que inicia en las fichas técnicas de los alimentos, ¿cierto? Que se requieren para la compra y la contratación pública y donde se establecen los estándares nutricionales, llegan a generarnos una intermediación porque pues no logramos que esos pequeños productores puedan acceder y cumplir con el objetivo de contratación pública que tiene la nación en este momento. Otro desafío es que no se están adecuando los ciclos de menús, o sea, las minutas alimentarias y los ciclos de menú, a lo que se consume de manera habitual en los territorios. Muchas veces pasa que establecemos esas minutas, esos ciclos de menú, pensando en las ciudades principales o en las zonas urbanas y no nos adecuamos a lo que se consume en las zonas más alejadas, más distantes, en las zonas rurales. Entonces, si bien la minuta es indispensable para poder cumplir con el requerimiento nutricional, el nutricionista lo que debe hacer es adecuar ese requerimiento, ¿cierto? Esa composición de nutrientes que requiere la persona a lo que se consume en los territorios. ¿Por qué? Porque esto además va enlazado a que podamos generar compras locales de alimentos, podamos generar circuitos cortos de comercialización. En la medida en que las minutas alimentarias tienen en cuenta lo que se produce y lo que se consume en la región, asimismo vamos a poder buscar proveedores locales pequeños
Thank you very much, Heidi. I think we have maybe a bit.
puedan entregar esos alimentos a las entidades. Entonces vemos cómo estos dos grandes desafíos en Colombia nos pues, un poco difícil.
I think we lost Heidi Valencia at this moment. I hope she's able to rejoin. I understood a lot about the production on the ground and the small producers as one of the main challenges, that those cannot always participate in the public procurement, and then also matching the procurement with the local consumption patterns, that this is an issue. I would have now moved on with the second question with Heidi Valencia, but given that she had is not there now, we maybe continue with Deus. Thank you for sharing the challenges with us. Could you now share with us what strategies you have found most effective in overcoming the challenges you've described earlier? Please also consider 3 to 4 minutes for your response. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I think you might need to move the microphone back down.
Sorry, I'm
Thanks.
sorry. Thank you. I talk about strategies that are certainly linked to the challenges I highlighted earlier. One of the strategies that the government has put in place here is strengthening local production and supply chain. I earlier indicated that the cooperatives are not able to produce enough food commodities that are required by the school feeding market. So what the government is doing, of course, working with partners with like the WFP, they are supporting cooperatives through trainings on governance, financial management. They are also helping to link cooperatives and smallholder farmers to the schools. Initially, there was an information gap between schools and cooperatives, where I would find that schools have the commodities, but certainly the schools need the commodities, but the cooperatives are not aware of the existing market. So the government is, together with partners, are investing in linkage sessions between the two parties to ensure that there is a commercial relationship at least established. Also, we are involved in mobilizing local producers to do two things. One, increase the quality of production, but also quantity. Because the school feeding market here is huge, and since the production capacities are still low, there's always physical meetings and media campaigns on TV and radio to encourage local producers to increase both production in terms of quality and quantity. We are also working with an organization that is called Rwanda Cooperative Agency, that is in charge of for cooperatives, to help cooperatives to form unions or joint ventures to help them aggregate their commodities to enable them win school feeding tenders that are normally so high to the extent they cannot be handled by an individual cooperative. The other strategy the government has put in place is increasing the resources needed for school feeding, of course, in terms of budget, but also putting up policies that favor more resource mobilization. In Rwanda here, in the last 3 years, the government has increased the school feeding budget from 78 billion Rwandan francs in 2023 94 billion in 2024, and currently in 2025, the government has increased the budget to over 135 billion. That's slightly over $93 million. So the government is increasing the budget. Also, we have something that the WFP helped the government to develop called the Rwanda School Feeding Financing Strategy. That's a strategy that has innovative ways to mobilize the resources more, bringing into the resource envelope the private sector and development partners to contribute to school feeding envelope. If that happens, then we would be able to get enough money needed to procure nutritious meals for all the students. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Deos, for explaining your strategies and overcoming the challenges. Same question to you, Matthias. Could you describe a bit how you tackle the challenges that you described earlier with the monitoring and the stakeholder communication?
Again, it's quite similar what I said before. To influence these catering companies, we conduct audits around 6 to 10 schools each year to check the quality of the service. Usually we select the schools about the school complaints or parents' complaints, because in every school there are some kid or parent who complain about school food. Usually we give these companies a reasonable timeline to eliminate these deficiencies. Sometimes there are none. But in case of major deficiencies, we have imposed some fines and 2 times even terminated contracts. The strategy has worked in last 2 years, and based on results of audits, it can be said that number of deficiencies has decreased, although things aren't so perfect as it should be. Problem with this strategy works only when you procure service, not the food itself. I know that most of school in southern part of our country procure directly food, and they have their own cooks. Main problem in Tallinn usually is that kids and their parents doesn't like school food. To solve it, we organize meetings for dissatisfied parents and students involving schools, catering companies, and community to address concerns and improve satisfaction. In this way, we have mostly been able to explain to students and their parents why school meals are the way they are, and to explain the principle of healthy eating. But kids are like they are. Whatever food we give them, there are always some sort of complaining. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matthias. At this point, I think Heidi is also back. So Heidi, I invite you back to the stage and hope the internet connection is good enough this time. Maybe you could also explain what strategies you have found most effective in overcoming the 2 challenges you described earlier.
Hola.
Hola.
Discúlpenme, por favor, he tenido un poco de dificultad con la conexión. Frente a las estrategias que hemos implementado desde Colombia, destacar primero que todo que la articulación entre entidades del Estado debe ser el norte. Manejan alimentos. Entonces, en esa articulación hemos estado con el Instituto Nacional de Vigilancia de Medicamentos que impedían o limitaban la participación, y estamos ahora implementando unas fichas técnicas que tienen en cuenta las realidades de los territorios y las realidades y posibilidades de los pequeños productores. Son fáciles de cumplir para ellos. Entonces, estas fichas suponen claramente un poco de esfuerzo de las entidades, pero la idea es que avancemos como entidades hacia el logro de esos objetivos. Y minutas territorializadas, es decir, ciclos de menús ajustados a las culturas alimentarias de cada territorio, de manera que prioricemos, uno, lo que se consume en el territorio de manera entidades de demanda, o sea, las entidades que compran alimentos, a que prioricen esos alimentos en sus minutas, y a las entidades que fortalecen a los pequeños productores a que precisamente hagan ese acompañamiento para que ellos puedan responder de manera efectiva en tiempos, formas, cantidades a lo que las entidades están demandando sobre los alimentos. Esas son las principales estrategias que hemos realizado nosotros en Colombia para abordar los dos desafíos de los que les hablaba inicialmente.
Thank you very much, Heidi. Thank you for describing how to better include smallholder farmers in the procurement. We now have a bit of time for questions. One question to both you, Matthias and Deus, in 1 minute. And given that sometimes we don't speak the same technical language, what would be the one thing that you would like to communicate about the procurement processes to those who decide on the nutrition criteria for school meals? Maybe we want to go this time with Matthias first.
Can you please repeat end?
Of course.
I lost the end. I just searched these questions and.
Of course. No, I'll just repeat. So this is for the decision makers. What would be the one thing that you would like to communicate about the procurement process to those who decide on the nutrition criteria for school meals?
Sometimes, not always, but sometimes these criteria are, how to say, too overkill, maybe. In Tallinn and in Estonia as a whole, actually, we have very healthy food. For example, in Tallinn, we have like 20% is organic food and so on. But sometimes these technical criteria make school not our. We just help them to make the process working and with some juridical question. But sometimes they, I just to say, they want too much, and for the procurers, it is how to say, going over their budget, because in Tallinn we have it's like €1.86 is like this one meal, and you can change the sum. So sometimes schools want to too much, and in sometimes procurers or companies doesn't come. That's actually quite serious problem, because the sum isn't the big, but in for Estonia it's aren't very small either. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so how I understood you is also a bit greater level of flexibility, right, for schools? Yeah.
Yeah. School has very flexible what they actually wanna procure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Our mission is just to help them to do the process, and with the juridical questions.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Then also same question to you, Deos. Yeah, what would be the one thing that you would like to communicate about the procurement process to those who decide on the nutrition criteria for the school meals?
Thank you. I localize my response to specifically Rwanda, where I work from. I think the message would be that procurement processes for food commodities should be as flexible as possible. Certainly, procuring food is not as the same as procuring either computers, books, or any other item. Food has its sensitivities related to quality, expiry dates, and so on. So it's important that the processes are as flexible as possible, not bureaucratic in nature, and certainly without any complications. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that was very clear and a very good message, I think, to convey. We now have another question, and this one is for Fatima. I'm reading it from the chat. I'm concerned hearing the challenges here. We have learned that there are issues of cost and affordability. Producers have difficulty meeting standards. There are food safety issues. The children and their families sometimes respond negatively to the foods provided, especially where not culturally appropriate. What encouragement would the panelists give to reassure us that we can provide sustainable and nutritious school meals for all? Yeah, maybe that question to you, Fatima.
Okay, thank you very much, Vivian. When I was quickly presenting the nutrition guidelines, we said that for school meals, it was very important to assess the capacities of the school system and the other actors, and also to co-create and produce together what is suitable and what can be achievable and feasible. This is, and then vetted with the multi-stakeholders. So it's not a process that the nutrition guidelines and standards are set by a group of people that are disconnected from reality. The nutrition guidelines and standards and how they are linked to procurement, it's not only with procurement that we have challenges. We have challenges also at the level of policies and the legislation. We have challenges with the food environment. So the issue is how we can propose changes that can be integrated within the capacities of the school system, and while doing this, work with the school system on improving capacities. So the changes will not happen overnight, and the approach is a phased approach. We realize very much the realities, but it's a process that needs to start. Otherwise, we will keep seeing that nutrition outcomes of school meals are not supported by enough evidence. We will see that procurement is not always done in the best way. We will see actually situations where procurement has not resulted in good income for farmers because it was not done in the best way considering the constraints. So the constraint and the knowledge of reality is a must, and then we can move with the system at the pace that we can move with. Investment is needed, and this is why the guidelines are coming with not only as guidelines to produce menus, but also with guidance on procurement, on food and nutrition education, and policy interventions, and also on interventions in the food environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fatima, for sharing these words of encouragement with us. I think it's clearly needed to state the need of stakeholder engagement. I think Copenhagen even takes it a step further by sharing upcoming tenders with also kitchen staff, so including even more people in the procurement process that will later be working with the standards. And yeah, I think these were really a great closing remarks for our panel. Wonderful. It is now time to go to our closing of today's webinar. I'm very happy to invite Mr. Peter Holzberg, Senior Program Policy Officer and Head of Program for School Meals with the World Food Program, to the floor. Peter, it's time for the closing remarks, and I'm happy to give you the floor for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Vivian, and thank you for the introduction. As mentioned, I'm Peter. I'm heading the school meal program here in the World Food Program Rome office for our global teams. I wanted to first thank everyone for a rich and inspiring discussion. And I think in particular, I wanted to thank the speakers today, to you, Fatima and Luana from FAO, for highlighting the joint work with World Food Program on nutrition guidelines and standards, and for presenting the new procurement guidance manual, which builds on the newly designed methodology tailored to children's nutrition needs, and which provides practical tools to operationalize nutrition standards through procurement, linking with smallholder farmers. To our colleagues from the School Food for Change for showing how schools can act as catalysts for systemic change. And of course, to our country panelists from Colombia, from Estonia, and my WP colleague, Dus Kayigamba from Rwanda, for sharing with us the challenges and strategies they have faced in aligning school food procurement with nutrition standards, while also meeting other public procurement goals. And finally, thanks to you, Vivian, as our moderator, for guiding us through this very enriching conversation. As has been mentioned, this has been the third and final webinar in our joint series. Together, across the 3 sessions, we have looked at how to meaningfully involve children and adolescents in shaping school food and nutrition. We've explored the need for a whole school approach to strengthen food culture and education. And of course, today we've focused on the importance of linking nutrition objectives with environmental and social sustainability goals through public food procurement. Taken together, these discussions highlight a clear message, which is school food systems are a powerful entry point to enhance nutrition outcomes within broader food system transformation. They can deliver better diets for children, support smallholder farmers and local economies, and contribute to more sustainable and resilient societies overall. The challenge, and as we heard from one of the questions where it was also raised, is in the implementation, meaning how do we ensuring that nutrition standards and sustainability commitments are translated into practice through procurement processes and policies that are robust as well as context specific. Yet these challenges also represent opportunities. By sharing good practices, as we've seen today, by adapting approaches to local contexts, and by fostering collaboration across sectors, we can achieve meaningful improvements in school food systems and within the wider food environment. This is also why we don't see this, and we shouldn't see this as the end of the conversation. Rather, it's a stepping stone. And I encourage us all to take the insights from this series forward, to continue working together, and to continue exploring innovative ways to make school food systems more inclusive, more nutritious, and importantly, sustainable. Before we close, I would also like to kindly invite you to complete the short evaluation survey we have prepared to capture your feedback across this webinar series. Colleagues will put the link to this in the chat, and your inputs will be invaluable for shaping future collaboration and guidance. Also, for those working in civil society organizations, we're excited to announce an online workshop on October 6th about the role of civil society organizations in advocating for and supporting school meal nutrition guidelines and standards. You can learn more about this on the School Food Global Hub, but it's taking place on 6th October, which is Monday next week. Again, thanks to all the speakers, to you, our partners in FAO, in SC for Change, and to the ICLEI, and to all of you for your active participation. We look forward to continuing this important journey together. Over to you, Vivian, and thanks again.
With that being said, I can only say thank you for those behind the scenes who have contributed to making this webinar such a successful experience. Thomas, Chai, and Maria from FAO, thank you. Helen from School Food for Change, and Matt and Carolina from WFP. We hope to be seeing many of you again and wishing you all a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.